This top right here might be the smallest top I've ever worn, but apparently this is what's trending in men's fashion and fashion as a whole right now. As the menswear area shifts and changes, more and more exploration and experimentation is going into everyday outfits, as guys try to learn and develop different styling techniques. However, the real question is, would you wear this? Would you actually wear skimpy fits or tighter fitting clothing? Or is this just a flash in the pan, a bit of nonsense, some throwaway runway stuff? Hey guys, I'm Henry and this is The Lowdown, where I talk about anything and everything fashion related. Of course, if you're new around here, make sure to drop a like and subscribe below, and let me know what you think about this trend in the comment section whilst you're down there. So I guess we may as well start off with, what actually is this skimpy trend? With the revival of Y2K and other 90s trends, we've definitely seen a resurgence in tighter fitting clothing for guys. Personally, I think it's definitely aided by the likes of Martine Rose, whose top I was wearing in that opening clip, alongside the works of Miu at Miu Miu and then her partnership with Raf at Prada. Specifically, I think Martine Rose really champions body positivity in her work and in her runways and presentations, and I guess accepting all your own quirks and differences, and that means wearing what you want, when you want, and looking good and feeling good. I'd argue then on the other hand that Miu Miu and Prada have championed a more feminine aesthetic, filtering through from their women's wear collections naturally, especially with Miu Miu not really actually selling any menswear, as far as I know anyways. And I think with guys being more into fashion than ever before, therefore looking for alternative ways to dress, ways to stand out from the crowd, so to speak, and ultimately innovate, it makes perfect sense for them to look towards women's wear for inspiration and ideas. And I'd actually argue women's wear is far more innovative and experimental than menswear is anyways. And I think it's this gender fluidity making outfits less about masculine versus feminine energy and more about just expressing your style and confidence in any way, shape or form. So I've touched on what this trend is, but who's actually been wearing it and who is pioneering it in many ways? I feel like whenever we're talking about men's fashion, a trend, style, you have to reference ASAP Rocky. I think he's inspiration for any way to dress, and this skimpy trend is no different. Upon researching into his background of wearing more feminine or women's clothing, I found that in Interview Mag back in 2022, he spoke of the double standards that are apparent when it comes to dressing up and fashion as a whole. And he even touched on him wearing kilts, which many would deem as a skirt, stating it's punk, and how he actually prefers running towards a women's section to shop there than the men's. So it definitely suggests that if the self-proclaimed fashion killer can wear feminine outfits and women's clothing, surely we should all be taking note. I think besides the obvious skirts and kilts, Rocky himself showcases that general fashion confidence and style confidence, mixing a bunch of different proportions without holding back. And I actually think he defines what it is to have a truly fluid and unrestricted wardrobe, not afraid to put on anything and everything to pull off a fit. Next up, Paul Mezcow is another individual, an up-and-coming actor who's attracted a lot of attention for his style, which I'd argue also falls into this trend. I think many Brits will be used to seeing his rugby lad aesthetic in everyday life. However, the shorter than usual inseams are definitely a talking point and what has grabbed him the most attention. Whilst Paul is definitely a very muscular, in-shape guy, his proportions are definitely larger than that of runway models and the go-to fashion guy. With that being said, he doesn't shy away from showing a bit more skin or showing his bulkier legs, or wearing tighter garments that hug his big, bolder shoulders. At least for me, I feel like my body shape matches up more to that of Paul Mezcow than anybody else, more so in the way that it's just a normal guy. Not head to toe rock solid abs or head to toe skin and bone perfect 6'1" fashion model. So seeing him execute these looks in a unique way then just furthers my self-belief that I can do that too. Additionally, Paul sticks to a fairly neutral, monochromatic colour palette when he is wearing certain outfits, meaning that whilst the silhouettes might be a little bit different, everything else is almost quite reassuring in his outfits. Therefore, the combination of these two things definitely makes it easier to put yourself in his shoes and envision you wearing the same thing. And it also makes it a lot more digestible for anybody looking at his style too. Finally, a lesser known individual but a personal favourite of mine is Alexander Ross. I might be biased, but I actually think this is one of the best dressed guys on the internet. I feel like his range and execution is second to none and is ultimately unrivaled. But I actually think he demonstrates how you can't just wear tight clothes and expect it to work. If your top and pants are both too tight, it might just look like you've had a bit of a mishap with the washing machine and everything shrunk in that last cycle. It's all about balance. And I guess finding that balance that works for you is very individual and personal. So therefore I would say he's the perfect amalgamation of what we've discussed with ASAP Rocky and Paul Mezcow. adding his own unique ways to express himself in each outfit, and definitely work towards those strengths of his figure and body shape. So I guess to put it bluntly, I'm saying Alex is the embodiment of self-expression, wearing what he wants, when he wants, and what works for him. I think as well as men are championing working on themselves both mentally and physically, taking more attention to their skincare routines and such also. This also coincidentally means on a base level they're getting more comfortable in their own shape, showing their own skin and body. And to me, that's the most important part of this all. Can everyone wear the same tight-fitting tops that Alex is? No. And that's okay. I know, for instance, that Martine Rose top I've shown does not fit me as well as it did in summer, but truly having that understanding of how to wear this trend, and more importantly what you can wear that fits under this aesthetic, is a way to really enjoy it fully and be more comfortable and happy in your own skin. So I guess the big question now is, how can you easily recreate this with your wardrobe? I think with the bold nature of it, it's important to work out what works for you, and also not go too deep too quickly. Experiment how and when you want and do it with confidence. For me, the easiest way is definitely with tops and tees. Switching out an oversized look for a more fitted tight layer just allows you to create a nice juxtaposition with wider, bigger pants or denim. Personally, I've then moved this on to working with some tighter hoodies too. Another one which I have from Martine Rose, which you can see here, giving that more snug fit. Therefore, I actually think layering is still key. Some knits, for example, layered over a shirt that just cinch it all in a lot more, can add so much, and is an easy way to set yourself apart in a rather bleak and dreary time. And whilst you're at it, if you can incorporate some texture, some different colours or some stripes, you're going to be doing even better with this trend. But then again, that could be stepping out of your comfort zone a little bit too much. So like I said, just make sure it works for you. Push the boundaries how you want, but not too much that makes you feel too uncomfortable. To conclude, I think the real question again is, would you wear any of this? It's definitely a bold one, but I think that's the beauty in it all. We live in such a minimalist, simple time right now for fashion, that by standing out, pushing yourself to try something else and do a little bit more, will ultimately make you look way more stylish than the next person, and can help you inject a lot of personality into your style and into your wardrobe. So of course, as always, definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm excited to see whether any of you guys really love or really hate this trend. I feel like it will be quite polarizing. And as usual, thanks for watching guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.